One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode. Gratitude. Gratitude is the thing that I talk about every year around this time. So we're recording this in November 2022, and every year close to the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US, I always put out a gratitude episode because I think it's important to really highlight the blessings in your life and the different ways that you can show others what you're grateful for, but also have that reflective time to just count your blessings, right? Because at the end of the day, when you look back on your journey, and I can really speak to this like myself, I couldn't have done any of the incredible things I've been able to do without guidance from my mentors. So that's what we're focusing on today. I want to tell you about the amazing women that have impacted my journey and how and why. And I'm really excited to dive into this today. So let's get right to it. Welcome to the Proffitt Podcast, where we teach you how to start, launch, and market your content with confidence. I'm your host, Crystal Proffitt, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, because if you've been trying to figure out the world of content creation, this is the show that will help be your time-saving shortcut. So let's get right to it, shall we? You know, it's funny how things change over time, like trends and different ways that I look at content, because I was looking back and I was like, where are my old gratitude episodes? And I think that they're just bonus episodes. I didn't give them the full, I guess, weight of being their own standalone podcast. But this year, we're giving this one a number. Yeah, this is episode 379. No bonus episode for today, because I believe this is so important. And I know that someone's listening to this today or will listen to this in the future after it goes live, well past Thanksgiving, and want to know a little bit about mentorship and just where I found some of the awesome leaders that I've followed. And hopefully you know who some of these people are. And if not, if you're looking for a mentor, a business mentor, an entrepreneur that you can follow, then I hope that these women inspire you today and you go check them out. I'm going to link to, their websites, Instagram, YouTube, all the things. And I really want you to go follow them because they've made a huge impact on me. And I'm just going to dive right in. So we have 7 creators, entrepreneurs, and my business mentors that I wanted to cover today. And the first one is my friend, Amy Porterfield. I'm laughing because I'm like, y'all know this. Like I've talked about her 1,000 times on here, but she's the mentor that I've mentioned probably the most here on the podcast. She's even been a guest on the show twice. So I'll link to those. So if you've never heard of Amy or you haven't listened to her own podcast, she has Online Marketing Made Easy, then you should absolutely go check it out because I've been following Amy for more than 5 years at this point. And I've learned a million marketing strategies from her and lessons that would have taken me a lifetime to learn on my own. And I'm constantly amazed at how much she gives back to her audience, to her team, and the online community. And she's just very generous in what she does. And I really appreciate that as her being a leader. And I know that it has a lot to do with the mentors that she's followed. She has really awesome people that are lifting her up and building her up. And I feel like that has a trickle-down effect. It's like Amy has people that motivate her. She's motivated me. And now hopefully you'll have a little bit of motivation or inspiration from the different people that I'm sharing about today. So it's that ripple effect of putting something out there in a very generous way and having it come back to you tenfold by way of students, people that want to learn from you, people that are excited to meet you in person, and people that just really become loyal followers and loyal fans of all the things that you put out, even if they never buy anything from you. And I really wanted to hone in on this part because I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I have to have $1 million business tomorrow and I have to have this and that. And it just really frustrates me when you can tell, I'm not going to name any names, but there's a lot of really big influencers that I'm just like, man, they really are just in it for the money. They really, truly are. And I have just never gotten that vibe from Amy. And I have gotten it from other people. And so I can spot it from a mile away whenever the intention isn't genuine and it's icky and gross feeling. And I've just never really had that interaction with Amy and her team. And I just wanted to bring her up because she's someone that's had a lot of influence on me. We've had a lot of behind the scenes conversations, a lot of mentorship that I'm truly, truly grateful for. And I just wanted to put it out there that it's just, I feel very blessed to have met her and been in her circle. And she has a book coming out. If you've heard me talk about this, she has a book coming out in February that I'm excited to tell you about here. It's called 2 Weeks Notice. And I'll actually link to that in the show notes as well, that she has this new journey ahead of her and I'm just cheering her along the way. It's so, so fun. So go grab her book, go follow her on Instagram, go listen to her podcast and go learn from her. Now, next is Marie Forleo, which is funny because it's one of Amy's mentors as well. So Marie is someone that I've also been learning from for about the last 5 years. And it's funny because when I think about Marie, I think about, well, first of all, I met her kind of ish, right? I met her at her book tour in 2019. She launched her book, Everything is Figure Outable, which, come on, that's just a fun saying. And her book is incredible. If you haven't read her book, I'll link to that as well. But what I learned from Marie is having fun with your content is so dang important. It is so important to have fun. And she really exudes this in her show, Marie TV. This is her YouTube show that she's had for a long time. I want to say that she's had it over a decade at this point. I mean, there's hundreds of videos that you can go watch, some really cool interviews. I love when she talks to Seth Godin, who is, he's like the godfather of marketing and has just really incredible ideas. And I love the way that she approaches looking at marketing and business from so many different perspectives. And her business has grown and shifted and gone, very all over the place. But I feel like her messages have stayed the same, even though she's probably been in business for 2 decades at this point. I know that she's been doing a lot of different things from, building her digital business. She had some coaching businesses. She had live events that she used to do, and who knows what she's going to do in the future. But I just really love the concept of her having fun every step of the way. And it just feels like that's what attracted me to her content, is she just looked like she was having fun. At the end of the day, there were so many times where I'd look at what she was creating on her YouTube channel and think, that's what I want. This is pre-COVID, when I was really looking at she was going into a studio every day. And I think that they had a big office space where they could film videos at like a TV show. And it was super, super cool. And I just remember thinking, that's what I want one day. Things have shifted. I don't really want that anymore today. I don't want to go into a studio and film stuff. That just seems like a lot of work. But I still love the ideas and inspiration that I got from watching her having so much fun in her content. So that's my second mentor, is Marie Forleo. So go check her out if you haven't already. Now, we are going to get into some of the bigger names of mentors that I have that I've never met, and I'm putting it out into the universe that I will meet them one day. It's going to happen. And that is Elizabeth Gilbert. And I know you're like, oh, from Eat, Pray, Love. Yes, that's her. That's the one. But that's not the book that I always think of when I say Elizabeth Gilbert. I always think of Big Magic. Big Magic. And I've talked about this. If you've been listening to the podcast, you've heard me ad nauseum talk about Big Magic, because it is the book that I still go back to. Y'all, I am not a rereader of books. I don't have this one book that I'm every year, once a year I have to, until Big Magic came along. It really is one of the catalysts, if not the catalyst, that helped me get over perfectionism, to really start putting things out there and accept that creativity looks so different for everyone, and that we have to just kind of let it ebb and flow through our life in a way that works for us, where we're not resistant to the different creative ideas that come at us. And I know it sounds super woo-woo whenever you listen to it. I've listened to the audiobook. So if you're going to read it, I highly recommend listening to the audiobook. I have a friend who read the book, the hard copy, and she was like, it was okay. I don't see what the big deal was. And I'm like, oh my God, you messed up. You got to get the audiobook version. So I checked this out at my library. So I'll grab I have the app where, just go to your local library, get an app, get the card that allows you to get the app for the library, and listen to all these audiobooks. I have a few more that I'm going to share about in a second, but oh my gosh, Big Magic. Super, super big influence. And not only that, but it's just her writing is really something that's very inspiring for me. I've shared several times before that I have a few more books inside of me that I want to write. And so whenever I need some of those ideas and inspiration, I go to her and some of her mentors that have helped her on her writing journey. I'll look them up. I've read their books, but she's been someone that's been super influential in my life for writing and content creation, and I highly recommend it. If you're looking for creativity and you're I just really struggle with being creative and being inspired creatively, definitely go get Big Magic. And I will link to it in the show notes for today's episode. So I haven't even told you those. So crystalproffitt.com/episode 379 is where you're going to find everything we talked about here today. But let's move on to Mindy Kaling. Okay, I've talked about The Office on here 1,000 times as well. And Mindy, let me see, this would have been in 2017, 2018. I was really, really big into starting listening to a lot more podcasts and starting to listen to a lot more audiobooks because of my library card, right? This is another plug for libraries everywhere. Go get a library card and go download the apps that allow you, whether it's Overdrive or Libby, there's a lot of different apps out there that you can use. But Mindy's memoirs are so good. They are so funny. They are so just I don't even know how to describe it. I love her writing. It is so good. So if you're like, oh yeah, I love The Office too, go back and look at the credits, right? When you're watching an episode and you see who's written them, Mindy wrote some of the most hilarious ones that were ever produced on The Office. She produced a lot of those, and she's gone on to direct her own shows, to be executive producer for shows. And I know you're like, Crystal, I really, I don't follow TV too much. I don't know what all these words mean. Well, basically it means she's the boss. She is the boss. She's in the director's chair. She's executive producing. She's putting up her own money, her studios. She has Kaling International. You should go follow them on Instagram too. She's doing really incredible things. And I just feel like I look up and there's just another show by Mindy Kaling. And I think that I was a director in another life because I'm just so obsessed with following her journey. And I will link to all of her memoirs as well. But I just love that she is really driven to write about what lights her up and what motivates her and what is fun. There's kind of a theme here, right? Fun and good inspiration, creativity to all of my mentors. But she just, please go get a library card, go listen and, read all of their books. So we have tons of books that I'm going to link to, but hers, one of them in particular, Why Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me? So good. And if you don't know her origin story, it involves Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. You have to go read her memoirs and see how she, it's a whole thing. That's all I'll say. Go read her memoirs. They are so stinking good. But Mindy, if you ever listen to this, I just want to chat with you and laugh with you because you're so dang funny. Period, the end. Okay, now we're going to move into Reese Witherspoon. Oh my gosh, y'all. I love Reese. Okay, yes, we can talk about Legally Blonde. We can talk about all her movies, yada, yada, yada. That is not why I look up to her. I look at her business prowess. Is that the right word? I shouldn't try to use fancy words. I look at her way of running business, her way of thinking about business, and her way of acquiring businesses today. Because she's a freaking rock star. She's a media mogul. Not only is she a successful movie star and she's won awards, done all these incredible things in the movies and in Hollywood, all that aside, she's taken that influence, that celebrity that she has behind her name, and she has gone on to build an empire that is Hello Sunshine, which has some of your favorite brands. We're going to talk about another one here in a second that's under Hello Sunshine. But I look at what she's done with Reese's book clubs. Again, she did that out of the passion that she had for reading. If you've ever seen her incredible, she has this go follow Hello Sunshine on Instagram, go follow Reese's book club on Instagram. But what I love is she takes these books and she talks about, I've seen interviews where she's just I just love reading. I've always loved to read. So she took this love, this passion of reading, and she used that into her influence and business eventually. And now everyone's I want to be for a while, everyone's I want to be on Oprah's book club. I feel like today it's I want to be on a Reese's book club because it's one of those things that there's just a lot of power and influence behind it. Not only that, but she will take books and adapt them into shows. This is what's really cool. So not only does she find these gems. So if you didn't know this, she was an executive producer on the movie Wild, right? Cheryl Strayed. We all know this movie. She played in this movie. She was an executive producer. Like that movie would not exist without her influence to make it happen. It wasn't just that she was a pretty face on the screen. She was behind the scenes making that book into a movie. So these are all the little details. I know I get super nerdy about all this stuff, but I am obsessed with people that bring others up. So she read Wild. She fell in love with it. She went on to become friends with Cheryl Strayed, and they were like, you know what? We're going to turn this thing into a movie. How awesome is that? She's also influenced a lot of the shows like Big Little Lies. What is it? Little Liars. I didn't read that one. I didn't watch that show, but Big Little Lies is the one that I watched. And then she has a few others that I'm just like, I'm blanking on the names because there's so many. It's so hard to keep up with all the incredible things that she's done. But this segues nicely into the brand that she bought that I love so much, and it's the Home Edit. So Clea and Joanna on the Home Edit have also been fast mentors of mine. I still remember, so it was pandemic, Christmas 2020, and I was looking around my house. It was actually the week. Yeah. So it was the blur week that we all know that happens after Christmas and before New Year's, where we're like, what are we even supposed to be doing? None of us have gotten out of our pajamas and we're all just laying around. The kids are playing with their toys. I'm just constantly drinking coffee and saying, I will lay on this couch because I don't want to do anything else. Well, when that happened, I stumbled across the Home Edit. Never heard of them before, wasn't following them anywhere. And I loved their show. I love their show on Netflix. If you haven't watched season 1, season 2, go check it out because I was looking for this type of solution in home organization. Like I just always wanted to have the super organized, something that was helping me keep my life together. And when I found this beautiful brand and all the incredible things that they're doing, like I couldn't imagine my life. I know this sounds super cheesy. I don't even care. I couldn't imagine my life without Clea and Joanna in it today. Like I have gone on to read their books. I follow them on Instagram. I've listened to their podcast, and I have been the biggest pain in the butt for my family now because even with, I shared this on the Potty Report. So make sure you tune into that episode this week. But our family, we recently got a camper. We got a pop-up camper. And the first thing, not even joking, we get inside. This is before we bought it. We're looking around and I'm like opening all the drawers and like the cabinets and stuff. And my husband said to me, he was like, okay, we can home edit this thing. I was just like, oh my gosh, I've infiltrated his subconscious now to where, because I've done my pantry, I've done like our bathrooms and like all the closets. Like I am like on this mission to go through our whole house and have it super highly organized. So don't worry, like the month of December, I have set that aside to really work on our house, and I'm going to do my office. I'm going to do so many things. So these women have had a huge impact on helping me, like it's like a mental health thing, having things organized, and not to the point of saying, oh my gosh, if something is out of place, I'm going to lose my mind. It's just having that clarity of what's necessary and getting rid of everything else that's not. And that's really what I needed. That's the gift that they gave me, is being able to unclutter pieces of my life that I didn't realize were mentally bogging me down, right? You go into your pantry just to grab a snack or cook something for dinner, and it was just chaos all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is expired. Like, why is this in here? And let's move this around. And you like pick up something off the shelf and 7 other things fall down. Like that doesn't happen anymore because I organized it. It's still this chore that I have to keep up with. And, I got to make sure that it's still functional. like months later after it's happened, but it's helped me so much in my life. So Clea, Joanna, thank you so much. All of these wonderful women, like, thank you so much. This is like the one that has had a really profound impact on my life. And they have so much fun. Y'all, please go follow them on Instagram, just the Home Edit. Go listen to their podcast. They're really fun. They're so hilarious. And season 1, season 2 of the Home Edit on Netflix is just, it's so, so good. And you watch it and the before and after, you're just like, oh my gosh, come to my house and do this, please. But you can do it yourself. I have bought their books. They definitely walk you through step by step what to do. Speaking of books, this is number 7. This is the final one. These mentors I'm so grateful for. And I want to meet them one day. I want to meet all of these women, like in person, like give them big hugs and not be super weird and awkward and too fangirly. But the Office ladies, come on. Okay. Jenna and Angela. I've done a case study on the Office Ladies podcast. If you have not listened to it, I'm going to link to that in the show notes as well. Their podcast means so much to me on many levels. So number 1, we've already talked about The Office, right? Mindy, like, come on. Like, we've talked about The Office. We've talked about how much I love Mindy. I love Jenna and Angela in the way that they go back and relive The Office. And Mindy's been on their show too, which is really fun. So the Office Ladies podcast, y'all, I bought their hat. I know that sounds silly. I bought a hat. I have a coffee mug that has Office Ladies. I'm going to buy their hoodie. Like, I am that type of fangirl about this show. I never miss an episode. And I just am so grateful as a mom to have heard their story. So let's back up for a second. So Jenna and Angela are both actresses, right? They've been in Hollywood for a long time. And in 2019, they did an interview right around the time their podcast launched that they had been looking for something that they could do that had them home more because they were still acting, they were still in movies and in TV shows. And unless you have a certain type of show that allows you to have like a normal, quote, normal schedule, they weren't really seeing their kids and their family like as much as they wanted to, or they would be gone for long stretches of the year. And for them starting this podcast, I remember when it launched, like I said, I did the case study, so I'm going to link to it. If you want to know how they launched it and all the things, I need to do like a revisited, like what happened after they launched it. But I think that them doing this show
Being a woman in business comes with its own unique set of challenges, but also so many opportunities. We get ahead by leaning in to what makes us different from business as usual. I'm Samantha Hartley, host of Profitable Joyful Consulting, inviting you to a special 6-episode series exploring the experience of being a woman in business. You want to hear from women consultants who've hit $1 million, who sell 6-figure engagements, or who've broken their own revenue ceilings? Yeah, those are my clients, and they'll be sharing too. Join me for 6 must-listen episodes that tackle key challenges for women consultants.
Follow Profitable Joyful Consulting on your favorite podcast app.
Had such a just profound impact on me. And I think it's because they took something, just this idea that 2 best friends, you know, who happen to be on one of the most famous shows in the world, they took this idea of revisiting it and reliving it and walking through it with fans that took it to a whole new level. Like, I loved the show before. Now I'm like ultra super mega fan of the show and of these 2 women who have gone on to be my mentors because y'all, they weren't producers in the audio space. They weren't audio technical engineers. They weren't, and I know they have a studio. They go into a studio to record and, you know, except for in the pandemic, whenever it was really high in 2020, they weren't able to do that for a long time. They weren't in the studio. They were just 2 moms sitting in closets recording a podcast. And I loved it so much. So I have their book. I know I've talked about lots of books. Every single person that I've mentioned today has a book coming out. So I'm going to link to all of those. Maybe that's like stocking stuffer or Christmas gifts that you can request if you're listening to this in real time. You have a whole list. You're like, honey, please buy all these for me. But I just feel so grateful. I know I have such a big smile on my face when I talk about all these women and the impact they've had on me, because sometimes it's really hard being an entrepreneur, being a content creator, being someone that really wants something that is outside of just the day-to-day who I am on the surface. And I think that all of these women, what I've loved about them, I think about the days of me being a stay-at-home mom and feeling so much guilt wanting to do something that was outside of just being a stay-at-home mom, because I had this really deeply rooted, I don't know if it's guilt, I don't know if it's shame, but I had these thoughts of, you should be so grateful that you get to stay at home. Why are you looking for something else outside of what you have here with these children, with your family? You should be so, so grateful. And I really grappled with that for a long time. And it's not something that I talk about a lot on the show, because I don't know if it's because it's in the past or it's not really something I think about today, because today I own those feelings and I have no problem. But back then, in 2014, 2015, when I was really having those strong feelings of, I want to write, I want to do other things, I want to kind of step outside of what society is telling me I should be grateful for, just being a stay-at-home mom, and I want to go for more. And that's really what these women have portrayed out into the world, is going after their dreams, going after the big things, the big goals, the big motivations that drive them in life. And I hope that you see that as well in the mentors that you follow. I hope that you have people that are really influential in your life and motivating and positive, and ones that share that messy journey, right? None of these women I've talked about today are perfect. None of them have traveled a road that doesn't have ups and downs and bumps and bruises and, scraped knees along the way, but they've kept going. They've kept going and they're doing incredible things in the world. And I love them all so, so much. So go check all of them out. Again, go to crystalproffitt.com/episode 379. Okay. So we've talked about this episode is airing right around Thanksgiving, and everyone knows Thanksgiving comes Black Friday. So I have two really special Black Friday sales that I need to tell you about before we leave here today. And the first one is Amy Porterfield has a Black Friday bundle that is going live on Wednesday, November 23rd. So if you're listening to this in real time, it comes out tomorrow. It's coming out tomorrow. And she's doing a bundle of List Builder Society and Systems That Scale. I'm an affiliate for Amy. I've been an affiliate for several years. And these are two programs that I don't know if they still have it up, but I was one of the main testimonials for Systems That Scale for a long time. Like ever since they made it a standalone product, I know that they were using my testimonial, and I stand behind it. Like it is one of the best programs that I've ever taken to help me get my shiitake together and help me get organized and help me really implement systems that have gone on to make a huge impact in my business. So if you're listening to this in real time, I'm going to link in the show notes. The link probably will not work until tomorrow when the sale officially goes live on November 23rd through Friday the 25th at 7 p.m. Central. So I'm going to link to that in the show notes. Again, go to crystalproffitt.com/episode 379 to learn all about it. But the second Black Friday sale I have to tell you about is my 3-piece podcast bundle. So this is my first ever Black Friday sale where I'm bundling together 3 products. So it's Proffitt Podcasting, the program that has helped hundreds of podcasters get their show up and running in 30 days or less. Then I'm throwing in the Ultimate Podcast Launch Toolkit. This is one of it's my most popular product this year, actually. I've sold more of these than anything else. I'm bundling that, and this has the launch templates, launch copy, launch calendars. It has swipe copy for your email, swipe copy for your social media, like what to say when you're launching your show, when it's about to come versus when it's launched and out into the world, and how you can tell your audience to support you in a very specific way. Like I give step by step on how you can help your audience help you when you're launching your show. And then we have 1 year of podcast content in 1 hour. So if you're someone who has like just anxiety about, I don't know what I'm going to talk about if I launch my podcast, I don't even know, this is something that can help you overcome those worries and have your full year. Like, what if you launched your podcast in 2023 and you don't have to worry about coming up with ideas until 2024? And by that time, you would have so many new ideas and so many other, I have enough content in this training to help you have enough content for 12 months of your podcast. So all of those combined are part of the 3-piece podcast bundle. And it's my first ever Black Friday sale that I'm so excited about. So go to the show notes, crystalproffitt.com/episode 379 to learn all about these sales. And I hope that you take advantage of them because they're going to be so awesome. And that's all I have for you today. So I know we covered a lot. I talked about lots of books. Go order all the books. Like, go put them on your Amazon list right now, or go to the library. Y'all, go to the library. Libraries are fantastic. They're free. They are part of your community. Go to your library, get a library card, and then go get all the audiobooks, go get all the ebooks. But I highly recommend following these women, and I hope that they inspire you as well. But that's all I have for you today. So as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Proffitt Podcast listeners, thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message, because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called Fan Mail Shoutouts, and I want to hear from you, and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, "Send Crystal a text message." And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, "Send Crystal a text message." And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shoutouts.